me from my powerlifting history and being the first person to squat over 1,300 pounds, and my work with Dr. McGill. But for those who don't know, I'm also a McGill certified practitioner. McGill practitioners are well versed in client history intake, back pain assessment, and exercise progressions to beat back pain. From those not back injured who want to take their lifting to the next level, to the client scheduled for back surgery who wants experience from someone who's been there. Here at PRS HQ in North Jacksonville, Florida, I have 2,000 square foot plus with every machine, implement, bar, and tool that you could possibly need, and have 30 years of strength training experience to boot. I conduct virtual and in-person consultations for lifting and see a wide variety of people on a broad age scale dealing with back pain or back injury, from powerlifters to pro ball players to your average weekend warrior. Check out my YouTube channel, Brian Carroll 1306, for content covering all things back injury, recovery, strength training, and everything in between. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss when we post and so you don't miss when we go live. Yes, every Friday I am live on YouTube, Instagram, X, and Facebook answering your back pain and strength-related questions. Hit that bell to ensure you don't miss the opportunity to get your questions answered. In addition to assessing and training people and putting out content, we have an extensive inventory of products to help you get back to living your best pain-free life. From PRS brand CBD to books and back supports, going along with weekly articles and blogs to help you navigate your training with cutting-edge science and training strategy proven to work. For all information on booking, products, and all things Brian Carroll, please visit PowerRackStrength.com. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Are we back on now? Are we back on? All right, we're back on. Sorry about that. The peers had a software update that had to be done. Sorry about that. But these things happen. So every Friday, I'm here live, right here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on X. And I'm going to answer your questions about all things strength training, back pain, injury resilience, building superhuman strength, everything performance enhancement and injury resilience. My website is Brian, or that's my name, Brian. The website is Power Rack Strength. Would you? I don't know why I turned those lights on too. I turned the other one off, but there we go. My website is powerrackstrength.com. My name is Brian Carroll, and I'm the owner of Power Rack Strength, and that's my hub for all things 1020 life, gift of injury, my book right here, co-authored with Professor Stuart McGill, spine biomechanist, and the world's leading authority on low back injury mechanisms, and my mentor and friend. And go to Power Rack Strength. We have multiple blogs a week that we do every week there that coincide with the videos that we put out on YouTube, and we share the clips on X, on Instagram, on Facebook. So make sure you check that out. Once again, sorry for the technical difficulties. Today, I'm answering a question. Now, the best way to give your questions, the best way for me to get the questions is for you to join, subscribe, YouTube, Brian Carroll 1306, and stay aware of the community posts, because each week we collect your questions, and sometimes I'm going to use your question for the main topic, but I'm still going to go through all the questions that I can. Unfortunately, some I'm going to need to do an assessment with you or a consultation with you in order to give you a good answer to the question. Otherwise, I'm just kind of guessing, and guessing doesn't really do me any good, and it certainly doesn't do you any good. So once again, powerrackstrength.com. And the best way to get your question answered is submit it prior in the community post on YouTube. But drop them in the live chat today on Facebook, on X, on Instagram. We'll do our very best to answer your question or to get to it, or we might save it for next week. The topic today actually is a question that came in not long ago. Brian, you've been working with a lot of strength athletes, average Joes. You work with people all over the world, some back pain, others not back pain, people that are chasing ultimate performance, athletic enhancement, performance enhancement. What are the 5 biggest reasons why you see people not get stronger? 5 reasons why you don't get stronger. They didn't tell me, or they didn't ask, Brian, give me 5 reasons why people are not getting stronger. They just said, what are the most common reasons why you see people not getting stronger, people stagnant, people not making progress in their strength training, people getting injured is a lot of who I work with. And these are also reasons that I'm going to tie in today. But I'm going to give you a few reasons today why people don't get stronger, the mistakes that they make, the mistakes that I made, the mistakes that a lot of my colleagues have made, and things that I've learned over the last, I started lifting in 96, but I got really serious about lifting in like 97 or 98. So however many years that is, we're going on 25 plus years, just like seriously lifting. I started competing actually 26 years ago, and I've been retired for 4. So we also have a couple questions that have come in. How long should I rest between the McGill Big 3 sets and exercises? How often should I do stir the pot and suitcase carries? Have I dealt with sciatica? Instagram comment or question coming in. I have lower back pain. I just deadlifted. Is that normal? We're going to talk about all these things today. So once again, if you have a question, there's a chance we could get to it, but drop it in the chat. So 5 reasons why you're not getting stronger. Here, I'm not giving you the YouTube trendy hacks and trendy things that are going on. I'm not a guru. I'm not someone that just started posting about strength content a couple years ago. I've been posting for a long time and writing for a long time and in the trenches for a long time. That doesn't mean that I know everything, but I do know a fake when I see one. I see a fraud, and I can pick it out. I see a weak guru that is just um, copy and pasting what they see other people do and say. I point it out. So the first reason why people aren't getting strong is they're listening to the wrong person. They're listening to a weak, fake guru. Just because someone has fancy videos and editing and words that they use and know all the scientific terminology and jargon does not mean they know how to make someone stronger, or are their methods valid? Are they tried and tested? Yes, there's a big trend right now with the science-based strength training approach, like the Jeff Nippards and those types of people, which I think has a lot of validity to it. I think, and I'm going to elaborate on in another video a little bit more in depth, my thoughts on the science-based bodybuilding method, the diet method, the strength training method, everything that's so rigidly based only around the data versus real-world validity, like a Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler is not so scientific, like an Ed Cohn, in the powerlifting world. Um, they just trained with progressive overload and got strong and huge and were the best in their field. So I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. You want to use the science, you don't want to disregard it, but you also want real world validity. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle is where I stay, kind of teetering back and forth. So we're constantly bombarded with cool new ways to train and trendy templates to follow. Advice from guys who've had one or two decent meets or competitions or lifts that they've done, and they try to capitalize on it. So in 1020 Life, that's my strength training book that I wrote back in initially in 2013, published in 2014, then revised in 2017. It's right here. Actually, right now you can get this book free if you spend $50 in our shop. So $50 purchase before tax and before shipping, you get a free 1020 Life book. And so in this book, I give you 6 questions to ask about your guru that I learned from Dave Tate. 6 fundamental questions that you need to ask about your guru. Who is their mentor? What have they done? What is their education? There's particular questions that you should be able to answer about someone you're considering hiring before you hire them. Now, it's not just about education. It's certainly not just all about what they've done on the platform or on the stage or in the gym. It's going to be a combination of both. Are they a good communicator? So anyway, check out 1020 Life if you haven't. $50 purchase gets you that book for free. And right now we have scratch and dent books. We might even have a gift of injury or two. Gift of injury, back mechanic, right now half off, scratch and dent. As you can see, these are scratch and dent books. A little bit of scratching and maybe scuffing on the covers, but other than that, they're good to go. They just been opened and returned to Amazon for a full refund after they've read some of the book, is what it seems is the trend, in my opinion. But through the 31st of January, so you got a little bit more time, couple weeks. Scratch and Knit books are half off right now. Back Mechanic, Gift of Injury when they're available. Occasionally, there'll be an Ultimate Back Fitness and Performance that's available, but right now they're half off. And you can combine enough Scratch and Knit books to get 1020 free, but you got to cross that $50 threshold. Video that dropped on Tuesday, and blog video that dropped on Tuesday is my thoughts on back surgery. I'm not telling you to get back surgery or not get back surgery. I'm giving you some general thoughts, the process that I went to, and then what I've seen with countless other clients. Some people do need a back surgery. I might come across as anti-back surgery. I'm anti-unnecessary back surgery. That's what it comes down to. Many people out there need a back surgery that have a serious fall or car accident, or sometimes a cumulative trauma is just too much, where they need a spinal decompression or something like that, a fall combined with years of lifting. And the next thing you know, you got a nerve that's trapped or stuck, and someone's leg pain is just unrelenting, and they need a back surgery. But that's not most people. Most of the people that I come across, even the most significant cases that have failed 15, 20 times with different PTs and osteos and chiropractors and doctors and surgeons, most of these people don't need another surgery or a surgery. They just need to be taught how to remove the cause of their pain. Number one, being told what their cause is, and then removing it, and then slowly rebuilding over time. That is the key. So my thoughts on back surgery, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm giving you my thoughts on back surgery. We dropped another video too, fixing daily movements, the curl up, working with Ian Daniel, CrossFit Games athlete, and 2,000 plus raw total. Blew his back apart back in 2021, and we worked together. And he's been pain and symptom free for a long time now. And then yesterday we dropped fixed daily movements, the side plank, working with Ian, just coaching his movement patterns and the way he sets up for the side plank and all the things that really matter when you're dealing with back pain like Ian was. So also today, 5 o'clock Eastern, what is perfect posture? Can you have perfect sitting posture? What is perfect posture? Well, it's going to be a dynamic posture. I'm going to give you things and specifics that can help your posture today in the article that drops today and video that drops on PowerXStrength.com and YouTube, Brian Carroll 1306. We do talk about the prop air for sleeping. We sell these on the site. Highly recommended. If you have problems sitting, you get the lumbar. Problems with sitting, get the lumbar. Use it, make sitting dynamic. Problems with sleeping, use the the prop air right here. And then for the Cadillac versions, we have the nice Embrace Air Deluxe, which I have there on my chair. Great, adjustable. You can move it up to some more thoracic support. You can move it down for more lumbosacral support. It's really up to you how you want it. And then if you want to completely make your own chair, here's the inline seating where you can make your own chair, seat pan and chair back. And you can save yourself a significant amount of money instead of buying a new chair. With that said, people ask me all the time, what chair do you recommend? I get the lumbar, I get the Embrace Air, I get the inline seating, but what chair? What chair should I use? I want to spend the money. I got $500 or $600 to blow in a chair. I need it. Work's going to pay for it. What chair should I get? I would get the Titan Evo Secret Lab chair. You can go to backfitpro.com and go under chairs, and there's a coupon code to save $50 there. I get no commission. I don't get paid by any way, but I believe in this chair, and I recommend it for people. And so does the BackFit Pro team of certified practitioners and master clinicians. So the Titan Evo Secret Lab chair. So reasons why you're not getting stronger. You're listening to the wrong guru. The key here, don't judge your guru by what he's done over the past 6 months. Take a look at the past decade of success. What have they done? He or she either had or hadn't over the last 10 years. Anyone can get someone right or strong by accident. Through blind, just guesswork is what it comes down to. But standing the test of time speaks volumes about a coach's methodology, which should be evolving over the time, not where you should just change your mind on different things, but you might change your mind on some things or sharpen up on some things. But it shouldn't be a 180 in most cases where you just completely change your mind and flip-flop on things. Beware of gimmicks that fade away as quickly as the careers of the gurus who propagated them. There's been a lot of flashes in the pan over the years. I think back to Snackwells. This is and I'm dating myself a little bit, but Snackwells was and this is the diet aspect of a fad or a gimmick. Snackwells were the green boxes of cookies and like different things like that were in your grocery store, and they had a huge section. They had a huge footprint because they were so popular. And the marketing was zero fat, and they had a crap ton of sugar. And at the time, people were thinking, oh, fat makes me fat, sugar is fine. And after it came out, everyone knew it already, but the people that were drinking the Kool-Aid, when they found out that, hey, these cookies are still going to make me fat because it's about the calories, not just about whether it has fat or sugar, then the brand died. And it's been dead for a long time, unless it's recently resurrected. I don't think it has, but that's just an example of a gimmick that worked for a little while. You stay at home moms eat dieting, thinking they can just eat Snackwell cookies with 200 calories a cookie and just thinking, oh, there's no fat, it's going to be fine. Just a general example. Fads come and go, but things like progressive overload, they don't go. The conjugate system, it doesn't go. These different tried and true strength approaches, not by someone that thinks they've reinvented the wheel after one powerlifting meet or two meets or one successful client they've turned around. The second reason is you don't have a short-term plan intertwined with long-term wisdom. If you're going to the gym without a plan, you're just asking to fail. Now, I'm not saying you have to like have every little thing every time that you're, oh my gosh, I did 4 reps instead of 3 here on my assistants. The workout is ruined. Like, not that. I'm not talking about that, but have a general idea. Have some parameters that you're going to try to reach on that day as you're driving to the gym. I suggest as you're driving to the gym, listening to the music that you like to. I'm not authoritarian. I'm not telling you what to do, but get in the mindset of training. And on the way to the gym, you throw a little bit of heat wave on you if you're training, if you're benching, not training chest. We're not training legs. We're squatting. We're benching. We're not training back. We're deadlifting if we're talking about the compound lifts. So if you're going to bench, put some on your pecs, on your shoulders, on your triceps. Heat wave is like Tiger Balm, but it's got 1,000 milligrams of CBD isolate, and it can help open you up a little bit, help you reduce some inflammation, but warm you up at the same time. And for the ride home is CryoFreeze, 1,000 milligrams of CBD isolate. So cheap little plug there, but you should have a plan on the way to the gym. What am I going to do for the warm up? Oh, I've got the heated seats on in my car. I've got my heat wave on. I'm driving to the gym right now. I'm getting in the mindset of getting in the zone and going to the gym and doing what I need to do. Well, if you don't know what you need to do, that's a problem. So having a plan, building a lifetime of strength, that's what 10-20 Life is about. 10 and 20 weeks at a time for a lifetime of positive momentum and training and in life. So it's 10-week blocks, 20-week blocks, but you recycle and change your assistance work, change your main movement, have deload staggered, all those things that you read about in 10-20 Life. It's about having a bigger picture plan. Small blocks at a time, 10 and 20 weeks. Otherwise, if you're just going there and winging it, I don't know if that's going to work all that well for the long term. Now, I do think it's good to wing it every once in a while if you're just finishing a meet or something like that. But doing it too much can get you off track. And so at the end of the day, you got to have a good reason. When I ask clients, like, why do you do that thing? And they're just like, I don't know. That's not a good reason. You need to have a reason for everything that you do in the gym. So if you don't have a plan, you're not really following that reasoning because it might just be kind of haphazard and random. So every time you step in the gym, there's something you should be trying to accomplish. A primer for the warm up in 10-20 Life. I talk about the warm up system, a primer before you get under the bar. Dialing in the form issues. Maybe that's what you're going to work on during a cycle for a while. Work on your mobility or building stiffness. Developing a better setup on the lifts, like getting tighter, getting stiffer. These are all things that you should be thinking about and have as far as a plan goes. So short-term plan, but with the overarching theme of what you want to accomplish in time. So addressing your weak points, man, that's a big one that you got to look at doing. So even the intention to get through your training sessions faster can make for a plan. Just building capacity, general physical preparedness, those things can be helpful. It's all pretty cut and dried in 10-20 Life. You have to evaluate where you are, do a true assessment. Where do you miss on the squat, the bench, the deadlift? Is your core weak? Can you not hold a plank for 1 minute? If you're trying to compete in powerlifting and you can't hold a plank for a minute, then you need to regress, in my opinion. If you can't do a side plank for a minute, you're getting ready for a powerlifting meet, you need to regress. If you can't do a back extension for a minute, then you probably need to regress and build the core. That's I don't understand how so many people don't have a long-term core plan for strength training. It's a complete afterthought in their planning. And a lot of the time, once they correct this, when I start working with someone, once they correct that weakness, the core endurance, whether it's anterior with the rectus and TVA, or it's a lateral core deficiency with internal and external oblique and TVA, or it's a spinal extensor. The erectors are weak, they have no endurance. You have spinalis, iliocostalis, longissimus, those big muscles that make up and go up your spine that help you stabilize and stiffen to be able to lift big load. So beware of gimmicks that fade away. Okay. Don't get caught into trying this one new thing because you see it on the internet and you want to go change your plan and go do that thing that day. A lot of wise people get tripped up by these things because it might be by a guru that has a name that has actually done really good work. The next thing you know, they've sold out and they're selling gimmicks. I don't want to like call anyone out, but there's people that did a really good job for a long time, and all of a sudden they're selling you this new plan that's going to completely change your life. Uh, you have to evaluate where you are, and you need a plan that gets you where you want to be every single day. Daily checklist. Chop wood, carry water every day. You got to do the stuff that you don't want to do. And a lot of the time, that's going to be core work and dialing in your form and deloading, doing the things that you need to do. This segues into the next thing. You don't have a long term plan. All those short term plans, those micro cycles turn into macro cycles. Building strength is a lifetime commitment. If you just have a 5-year powerlifting plan, I mean, that's fine, but why not look long term? If you want to do it for real and like seriously and all out, look at closer to like a 10-year plan. But I get not everyone can take powerlifting as serious as the next person because you have a job and you have family and you have obligations, maybe an injury history. But you need to have a long-term plan regardless of your endeavor, whether it's just to get pretty good at powerlifting or to be the best you can be. The more you can sacrifice in uh in your life, basically, is what it, let me rephrase this. To be to achieve your ultimate human level, your ultimate human potential, the level that you can hit that is the ceiling, you have to be willing to sacrifice things. And that's what a lot of people don't want to know. They don't want to hear it. And what do I mean by sacrifice? Number one, your time. You got to sacrifice your time. And that's part of a long-term plan. You have to commit to something for a long time, even when you don't want to do it. You're going to have to sacrifice relationships at times. I'm not telling you to abandon your family and go pursue powerlifting. I'm saying that you're going to have to sacrifice your time with people and be strategic with when you train and when you give to the family and give to your friends. But something is going to give. The lifting is going to give, or some relationships are going to give. Another thing, you're going to big weights for long enough. I don't care if you have the best deloads, the best form, the best plan, the best coach, the best drugs, the best nutrition, the best sleep, the best recovery methods. There is a price to pay. There's no such thing as free lunch. There's no such thing. You lift enough heavy load with compression, you're gonna pay the price in the feet, and the knees, and the hips, and the back, and the neck, intracranial pressure, pressure in the brain in general, which we don't know a ton about with lifting, especially when it comes to equip lifting. So I'm not discouraging anyone out there from going all in with lifting, but the more you want out of lifting or powerlifting or strength training or your lifts, the more that you're gonna have to potentially sacrifice. So there's no such thing as free lunch. I'm gonna have it all. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Well, you're probably gonna be mediocre at best at all of those things. And you might bring up 1 or 2 people like, "How about this person? They can do all that." Well, you're not that person. Those persons are like once in a lifetime touched by the hand of God. They are gifted. That doesn't mean that they can still continue to do all those things indefinitely. We see some gifted athletes that are very, very broken after their career, that they've seemingly been able to do all these things without hangups. You know, be able to play pro football and pro baseball and make the All-Star and Pro Bowl at the same time. You think, "Man, anyone can do that." Well, you don't know what they're dealing with now, with their toes being amputated and such. There's a price to pay for everything that you do. So it's not to discourage, anybody, but, um, map out your plan, stick to the bigger picture, and, build build the snowball effect with short-term goals, as hitting on the last point. map it out. Don't deviate unless it's absolutely necessary. So sometimes you gotta change the plan a little bit, adjust as you figure out more about your lifting, about what you respond better to, what you don't respond to, and then dial it in, but don't just change everything at the same time. One variable to change at the same time. If you're constantly changing every single variable in your training, you'll never find out what the hell works for you. So it's one thing, tinker with 5 things, map it out for a little bit. Okay, that worked. We're keeping that in. Let's try the next thing. Map it out. That didn't work. Well, why didn't that work? Keep track of this. So that's a few thoughts on you don't have a long-term plan, you don't have a short-term plan that intertwines with the long-term plan, and then you're listening to the wrong people. You're getting information from bad sources that are marketers, that are social media weak gurus that have never lifted anything, or they're just so gifted that they could do anything longer. It doesn't mean that they're gonna be able to help you, stay resilient and, enhance your performance. This is one that I hammer every day with clients and, people that I work with. Your form and your technique is one reason why you're not getting stronger, you're stagnant, you're getting hurt. Your form and your technique sucks. In the introduction, I told you to check out a few of the videos, I suggest let me back up. When you're looking through YouTube and, like, doing research on your guru, watch them lift, watch them, do the movements they talk about. A lot of these guys that are good talkers are complete dorks when it comes to lifting. They're a lifting dork. They don't know anything about lifting. They can talk about it, they can use great scientific diagrams and charts and everything, but when you watch them lift, you can tell they're like a fish out of water. So, don't go by their technique. Um, you'll be pretty surprised how weak some of these people are when they actually lift. So, check out their videos and see if, they use good form or if they practice what they preach. A lot of the people out there do not practice what they popular gurus give advice. Look at their form on the main lifts. What you find is that the gimmick peddlers, a lot of them have the worst form that you'll ever see. I'm not gonna name any names, but there's a person that goes, works with a lot of glute people, and if you watch this person squat, it's an absolute abomination because he's so glute dominant, he's got no quads, and so, yes, he's good at building glutes, but don't listen to the way he tells you to squat because it is not the way that me or any of the other people that I coach and teach with would ever teach someone to squat. At least to an extent, in my opinion, form is more important than strength. So form matters so much. Yes, I'm talking a little bit of crap about the elite gurus and watching them lift and seeing lifting dorks that are they're PTs and try to gravitate to the lifting, world, but you can't overpower a lift. You're not John Hack. You can't just overpower any lift no matter what position you're putting yourself in, um, and compensate with just raw dog strength. Some people can, but chances are you're not that person. They can just raw dog up a huge squat and huge deadlift that's way out of whack, and you just somehow can do it. Position is everything, using your leverages. Um, Everything works together. The core, pulling the lats down if we're talking about like a squat, a deadlift, a row, stiffening the core, put laterally, sipping and hissing some air, creating that pressure, pulling the lats down into the back pocket, the pecs gripping the floor, externally rotating the femurs if it's a squat, putting the hips back first, keeping that back nice and flat, and, maintaining that lifter's wedge. I've got a lot of videos on the lifter's wedge, and, that's the foundation. Also spoken about in Gift of Injury and Back Mechanic, we talk about shortstop squat. Using that remedial hip hinge for people can be a huge help. You know, in 10/20 Life and Gift of Injury, I give you a lot of form cues and approaches to thinking, uh, considering how to stiffen and get under the bar and wedge under the bar and get tight and get stiff. So your form and technique needs to be dead on if you wanna pull ultimate athleticism. And backing up, um, to the long-term plan and talking about sacrifices. If you wanna make the least amount of sacrifices possible to your health, dial in your perfect form and take deloads off. That doesn't mean you're gonna do heavy lifts and strength training for 10, 15, 20 years like I did and come out completely unscathed. I am not unscathed. Um, I'm sure the pressure that I took to my brain year after year squatting 60 plus thousand, 60 or more 1,000-pound squats in competition and hundreds more in training, I'm sure it was not healthy. I don't think anyone would say, "Brian, I think your brain is gonna be much better off squatting 1,000 pounds, a couple hundred times. I think it's gonna help your brain a lot." I don't think anyone would take that stance. So I would stand to reason that probably it's not been healthy for my brain, healthy for my heart. So I have a hip that's a bit banged up. Um, my shoulder's kinda cranky, and unfortunately, my back isn't absolutely annihilated. Like, my back is good, and I'm able to do things like go on the slip and slide and run around and do stuff with my four-year-old girls, and, I'm blessed in that perspective, but it doesn't mean that things aren't gonna show up later on, unfortunately, and generally people find that what you do in your 30s and 40s, 20s, 30s, and 40s end up showing in your 60s. So 60s is when the injuries start to mount up, the replacements start to become necessary, different things, like that. Now, that's not a hard rule, but it's just an observation that a few people have, pointed out over the years. So, dial in your technique. Have weeks every once in a while, advocate in 10-20 life. Every 3 or 4 weeks, deload. This is when you sharpen up your technique, you dial in your form, you can experiment with some different, angles of bar path, on the squat, on the bench, deadlift, sumo. This is a time where you can experiment and dial in the form, and you let yourself heal. You let your joints heal. Bone takes about 5 days to heal. You're stressing those end plates. You're stressing the end plates of the vertebra, what connects your disc to your vertebra, the end plate in between. You want those to heal. They have micro fractures in them as you load them, and then if you don't let them heal, they will turn into macro fractures, and you get end plate and vertebral body damage. So that's why it's good to take about 5 days between a squat and a deadlift. These programs that have squat, deadlift day 1, bench day 2, squat, bench, deadlift day 3, bench light, deadlift light Thursday, day 4, and then Friday, bench, deadlift. It's a good way to annihilate yourself, and granted, it's a good way to get strong quickly if you can recover from it somehow, but cumulatively, it's gonna annihilate your joints, and I see a lot of back cases that are exactly from this. They cumulative trauma, even though it's light, they still get compression and flexion and extension, and some people can handle it, other people cannot. It's about long-term approaching. Long-term approach to strength training, and what are you willing to sacrifice? So, check out 1020 for a lot of lifting cues and my YouTube channel, if you're watching right now, Brian Crow 1306. Subscribe, and you can see the cues and coaching points that I go through, uh, almost every week. The last thing is you're not attacking your weak points. It's fun to do the things that you're good at in the gym. It's not so fun to do the things that you're not so good at. So, I said earlier, if you're trying for a powerlifting meet or trying to build your lifts, like, some people don't care about competing. I had a client that I just finished with that just wants to bench 405, 52. That's great. He doesn't care about doing it in competition. So, we're working, uh, on dialing in his weak points. We're dialing in his weak points. You're not supposed to do what you're good at. That's fun and everything, but it's not gonna help take you to the next level. We all have weak points, whether you're about specific things like sticking points or general, abilities like endurance. Um, we're all different in this way. We're all different in this way. If you don't have someone coaching you or like friends that can give you some honest feedback, you're not videoing your lifts, it's gonna be hard for you to analyze the areas in which you need work, and what you're missing out on. Most important, most important part of the strength and longevity is just attacking your weak points and getting better at, what you're trying to do. hurt what you're doing. Maintain your strength, build your weak points. I mentioned weak points earlier, this does pertain to people that aren't trying to compete. But if you're trying to do a big lift, like the guy that was here earlier, and you can't do a side plank for a minute, you can't do a front plank for 1 minute, you can't do a back extension raise and hold for a minute, you have a core deficit objectively for core endurance, and you need to be able to maintain that neutral spine under load to hit a big lift, at least on the squat and the deadlift, so that would be a weak point. That would should be something you should immediately attack. In 10-20 Life, I advocate, warming up, priming with the big 3, and then sometimes if it's a weak point, ending with the big 3. We all have weak points, sticking points, we're all different. Someone may have a resilient core and not need to train their core as much as the next person, but you have to analyze the areas in which you need work and, bring up these deficits. Programming your main lifts won't differ too much from guy to guy. Yes, there's volume differences and frequency differences, but your assistance work is so important. So after decades of dealing with, training with the crew and powerlifting for 21 years, uh, lifting with greats like Sean Frankel and Dave Hoff and Ed Cohn and all these, the best of the best when it comes to strength training, we've pretty much figured out the parameters of what works and what doesn't for the main lifts. If you're trying for strength, you don't need to do a bunch of repetitions on the main lifts. The volume and intensity has to ebb and flow. If you're going higher volume, the intensity needs to come down a little bit. But if you're going higher intensity, the volume has to come down a little bit. I don't think that's too. I mean, some dorks might try to argue that, but Dave Hoff wouldn't argue that, and Sean Frankel and Ed Cohn and all the greats in powerlifting wouldn't argue that there has to be a taper for strength. But the way we attack our assistance work and weak points will greatly differ. So that's why it depends on who you ask. Like, how do you do assistance work? Well, one thing I don't suggest is doing a cookie cutter. Don't do a cookie cutter assistance work. I'm just gonna do pause squats. I'm just gonna do stir the pot. I'm just gonna do suitcase carries. That's what Brian posts on his YouTube channel all the time. For some people, that might be exactly what you need, but give yourself a true, assessment. I do assessments virtually and in person, here at PowerX Strength. You go to powerxstrength.com, and I can help you do this, but you can also buy 1020 Life or have a crew that you train with to help you do this. But don't follow a cookie cutter, and don't just do what your training partners are doing. That's another problem. My training partners, they're doing, a bunch of ab rope crunches because their coach told them to. Well, is that gonna be the best for you to build a trunk endurance and power? I don't know, but attacking weak points is pretty easy, but it needs to be according to your weak points. Your quads might be weak, but your training partner's hamstrings and hips are weak, or they lack, thoracic mobility or hip mobility, and you have too much hip mobility and thoracic mobility. That's not gonna benefit you just following suit because the leader of your team or your friend or somebody you look up to needs or may just be doing them arbitrarily as well. So it might be the blind leading the blind. That's the worst case scenario. That's kind of like with the weak gurus, the blind leading the blind. They're just guessing. They're just putting bullshit out there and hoping that it sticks with a fancy edit and a fancy thumbnail. And you look at this person can't lift. What are they talking about? 1020 Life helps taking the guesswork out of it. Okay. Um, Attacking weak points, I give you a weak point index in the book. Like if you miss in the middle of the squat, here's some ways you can build the midway of the squat or the lower part of the squat or the very top of the squat. Same goes for the same goes for the deadlift. The client I was working with before, he's at about a 350 bench right now, and he has trouble at mid range. If he gets it above mid range, he locks it out. So we're working on his speed all the way through the top, working on his close grip in the mid range so he can lock out that 405 hopefully sooner than later. So we're assessing his weak points and we're building it, and it's not with the cookie cutter. It's a dynamic and ever changing comprehensive program, which is 1020 Life. But jumping from guru to guru, program to program. I'm doing, starting strength, and then I'm doing 10-20 life. I'm doing 5-3-1. I'm doing the Boob method. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. That's not gonna get it done. You gotta give these programs and approaches. I'm doing conjugate. I'm Louis Simmons. Um, you gotta give these programs time, and sometimes you need to do something for a year before you know if it works or not, and unfortunately, some people do the wrong thing for a year and end up messed up, and then they're on my, table because their back is foobarred because they listen to someone who is strong, who does sound smart, but had them squatting 3 times a week and benching 2 or 3 times a week, and their back can no longer tolerate extension and compression because they were benching 3 times a week and then compressing it with squats and deadlifts multiple times a week. So, again, longevity is key. You gotta have weak points attacked in your assistance work. I think assistance work is the biggest thing that people miss when it comes to their programming. In some ways, I think it's even more important than your main lifts. Assistance work, building a core of iron, building your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, whatever the deficit may be, your triceps, your lats. I don't know, but building your deficits, that is the way you get better at the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. But if you have these big deficits, including your technique, you gotta dial in your technique. Is your technique a big deficit? You're raw dog strong, but you run your back every time you deadlift. You don't just have a flexion moment, which means you start with a little bit of flexion influence, but you don't bend through. That's better than a flexion movement where you're actually moving in flexion under load. That is a sucky technique, and if you wanna do that, you can deadlift 900 pounds, that's great, but I don't think you're gonna last very long. You wanna lock it in and stay stiff and rigid under load. Your technique's gonna look a bit different than mine, it's gonna look different than the next person. Other reason besides you're not attacking your weak points, your technique sucks, you don't have a long-term plan. 10-21, 10-20 life, 10 and 20 weeks, that's a start, that's a short-term plan. What are you gonna be doing for the next couple of years? Long term. These short-term plans have to feed into the long-term plan, and sometimes you're just listening to the wrong person, unfortunately. I hope that's not me for you, if you're here listening to me, but, I think that, there's worse people out there you can listen to. But right now, my focus is to help as many people get as humanly strong as humanly possible out there and enhance injury resilience, enhance performance, and then help the person that just wants to squat 225 for the first time, or someone that wants to squat 1225 and go after a record. Maybe they wanna break 1306, hit 308. And I might just give you the wrong advices, as Arnold says about Franco and pumping iron. Jokes aside, I almost had someone break 1,300 pounds before I did at the meet in Rogersville 4 years ago. My client Oso, he did his first 1,200-pound squat in the same meet I squatted 1,200 pounds for the first time, and he jumped right to 1,300 pounds. And I'm like, "Oh, shoot." Um, Interesting thing about that is when we were training for the meet, I was coaching him. I had him take 1265 with a reverse band 2 weeks out. I didn't go 1265 with the band 2 weeks out. I shut it down at 1210. He missed 1,300, just got a little bit out of whack with it, and I had to call my number, so that's why I went to the next one up, 1306, because in case he hit it, I was gonna break it on the next lift. But, yeah, interesting, thing there is he I almost coached someone to beat me to the 1,300-pound squat in the same meet. But, look at someone's track record, not just about what their lifts are or who they've coached or their education. It's a combination of all those, and you can check out a video that we're gonna do soon, where we revisit Dave Tate's 6 questions about your guru that you need to ask yourself. It's beyond just education and accomplishments. It's many you should talk about. Um, how long should I rest between McGill Big 3 sets and exercises? Well, in back mechanic, it suggests about a 20-second or so rest, maybe 10 seconds, maybe a little bit less. It really just depends on what variation you're doing of the big 3. Now, if you're doing a remedial for the big 3, then you might want to rest less or you might wanna rest more. How wound up are you? How much in pain are you? Do these exercises cause you pain? Are you in very poor general physical, condition? So then you might need to take a little bit rest, drop your volume back a little bit, and, again, these are things that I do with consults to help people dial in the details. They can read Back Mechanic, Ultimate Back, Gift of Injury, 1020, but then sometimes the application that needs to be custom for you, dial it in for you, sometimes it needs to be a bit nuanced and, flexible. So, big 3 sets and exercises. It really is gonna depend. Some people doing the 6-4-2 and back mechanic is gonna be way too much. Holding for 10 seconds for some people is gonna be way too much. Doing the full version of the side plank and such sometimes is gonna be way too much for people. They'll need to do the variations that you find back mechanic that you can get right now, half off scratch and dent through the 31st of January. Gift of Injury too, if you have a copy or 2 in stock, I think we have a copy of Gift of Injury. If you want Gift of Injury and you haven't read it, go to the link, get Scratch and Dent book. You get it for like 17.50. You can't beat it. It's gonna be in good shape. It's gonna look pretty much like this book does, um, right now. I mean, there's a little bit of wear and tear there, but it's basically brand new. Yeah. Through the 31st. Also, I mentioned our CBD earlier, 100% CBD isolate. It comes from hemp. There's 0 THC in our products. We have topical with heat wave and cryo-freeze. We have the oral delivery in natural drops, cinnamon, and strawberry, and then we have our edibles and apple rings, peach rings, watermelon slices, gummy bears, gummy worms, and then we have our topical formula, our balm, we have lavender, sage, lemongrass, and natural. All those, if you wanna use the code YT1306, you can get 20% off, shipped to you anywhere in the United States. 100% CBD isolate. It isn't full or broad spectrum, which can have other cannabinoids. How do you even say the freaking words? Cannabinoid. It has other cannabinoids in it, and you don't know how much CBD you're actually getting. So if you want CBD, get freaking CBD isolate. If you want CBG, get CBG. If you want CBN, get CBN. If you want 0.03% THC, just get the freaking THC or 0.3% THC. But otherwise, you're getting a mixed bag of a proprietary formula of just whatever happens to be their house formula. We use only CBD isolate, YT1306, proprietary formula. Anyway, that's gonna give me a seizure. How often should I do the stir the pot and suitcase carries on a weekly basis? Well, I don't know. It really just depends on what your goals are. Are you coming back from a back injury? Are you a strength athlete? Are you a pickleballer? Um, yeah, what's the goal? What are your deficits? One of the things I talked about today, the 5 reasons why you're not getting stronger. You're not listening to the right guru in the first place. You don't have a short-term plan, and then you don't have a long-term plan that obviously is a bunch of short-term plans that push you towards that. Your forming your technique sucks, and you're not attacking your weak points. So I would fire back to you, sir or ma'am. What are your weak points? Can you plank for a minute? Can you side plank for a minute? Can you do a back raise and hold for a minute? So if you can't, then I would start with those and then worry about the stir the pot suitcase carries on a weekly basis. But you can do it a couple times a week in some cases, depending on if you're back injured or not. Back injured people will need to do it less often. But it really just depends. How heavy are you doing your suitcase carries? How many stir the pot are you doing? Are you doing them with really good form? Are you moving all over the place? Suitcase carry can be progressed to all kinds of different variations, bottoms up and, uh, marching and different cool things like that. So it really just depends. How long does it take usually how long does it usually take QL straighten your heel? Been doing the McGill Big 3 for a month or so. Well, according to the data, QL will heal up in, usually about 22 days. It will be, completely reduced, and you'll be free to go about your life how you wish. Jokes aside, there's really no. Is it like a severe strain? Is it, a strain is a tear, okay? They don't call it that, we have different grades of strains. You can bleed out and have a serious tear, but it's not torn through, say you just have a strain, sir. Um, so, again, being facetious there, but you might not even have a QL problem as the root cause. You might have a disc at L4, L5, L5S1 that's causing an inflammatory response that causes your QL to lock down. You might have a psoas in the anterior part of the core on the other side of the quadratus lumborum that could be causing you problems. So I don't know, but very rarely is it just a QL strain. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. People do tear erector spinae, they do tear lats, they do tear quadratus lumborums, they do get, weird infections and tears with the psoas, and they get blocked up. But most of the time when people come here for a QL, yes, they have a jammed up or locked up hip height QL, but it's coming from their lumbar spine. So keep that in mind. The big 3 might make the situation worse. So if you'd like to book a virtual consultation with me or, investigate this further, we can do an assessment, here in person, a McGill assessment, or we can do a consultation. It's really just up to you and what you want, but I can't really answer that. It could linger for a while, or it could be something that goes away pretty quick if it's a QL strain or if you have a disc herniation bulge. At first, the big 3 seemed to work for me, but now it seems to make my pain worse. My core is a lot stronger than it was. Would that be a sign of compression intolerant? Well, first, we gotta make sure that you're doing the big 3 correctly and the right variation for your, needs. So, you might be doing a version that's too far advanced and causing your pain, you might be doing too many of them, your form might be bad, and then you might be over-stiffening. So, the big 3 should not be causing you pain. So, you gotta tune the brace, tune the stiffness with the bird dog, pushing the earth away, driving the heel back, don't lift the leg too high with the side plank stiffening before coming up into the side plank. With the curl up, not raising the head too high, having one leg bent, not both legs bent. These different things that we have to look at. So, it's making your pain worse. I gotta ask you the question. Excuse me. Have you removed the cause? Have you removed the cause of your pain? Because you can do the big 3, and it's gonna help some people because it's they're precise exercises that sometimes floss the spine, they build the core in ways that help reduce pain in many cases, but it's not gonna be a cure-all for people. It can help floss, help, alleviate some stiffness and pain and build the corset, of course, but, for some people, they're not gonna be ready for that. Um, but a sign of compression intolerance would I'd have to do an assessment with you to understand that. So, again, um, it just depends. It sounds like you're stiffening and compressing your spine, unfortunately, what it to me, and I could be wrong, but I can't really say without, uh, assessing you and spending time with you. I have to spend some time and watch you do these. Fortunately, most of the time it's because people are using poor form on the big 3, unfortunately, and I'm not saying that's you, but a lot of the time it's because they're just not executing it properly, they're loose when they're transitioning, they're flopping and collapsing. Um, Check out our video, reasons why the big 3 doesn't work for you, messing up the big 3. We have a few different videos about the big 3 and why it may not work for you. And we also have a couple really good instructional videos on how to do the big 3. But there's no replacement for in-person coaching. I do in-person coaching for people that just wanna take their lifts to the next level, or for people that have back pain and wanna get back to lifting, or people that just wanna learn how to do the big 3 and some, exercises so they can, live a good life, with some spine results. So I work with different types of people. Recently dealing with vertigo. Can't do side planks because it triggers it. Uh-oh. Is there an alternate back safe exercise I can do to target the obliques? Joey, let's workshop this in person. I think that I might have a few things to target the obliques, but, man, you saying you have vertigo, I don't wanna give you any advice, without, making sure that, you get this cleared with the doctor, and then when you're ready to come here, I'm ready to see you. I'll follow up with Crystal here soon to take a look at my schedule for end of January and early February. I think we have some openings. So if you would get with her and, set up, payment, and, man, I'll take a look at you, and we'll do the very best that we can do. But I'm sorry you're going through all these different things, but, make sure you go to the doctor and check out the vertigo. Maybe they can help with that, and, then when you come here, we can look at oblique training. There's different variations of the side plank. There's different, variations of holds and walks and different things like that that can potentially help you work the lateral core. So I'm looking forward to meeting you here soon. So let's work on getting that done, and I'll do my very best to help you. Now, I know you're post the procedure and they wanna do another one on each one has a little lesser chance of being successful, so that's all I'll say, and, if you want me to try to help you, I'll do that. I can make you no promises, but I will give you my very best, and I will definitely spend more time with you than the neurosurgeon or the orthopedic will spend before they decide to do surgery. So I'll give you a second opinion on everything, and, as always, it's not medical advice, it's just my, personal opinion, and I'm your advocate and your consultant. So once again, every week we are live right here at YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, X, on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. Scratch and Knit Books to the 31st. Free 1020 live with a $50 purchase. Scratch and Knit Books half off through the end of the month. 1020 live, free with $50 purchase. Video that drops today. Can you have perfect posture? If you've noticed throughout today, changed my posture a few different times. I'm sitting up a little bit taller, which actually feels the best sitting like this. I have my legs crossed right now, and then I'll let a little bit of air out with the Embrace Air Deluxe that I have here. And I'm just constantly making sitting dynamic. This is the one for the car. This is the one for the seat pan. This is the one for sleep. The Prop Air for sleep. Lumbar for the truck, the car, the airplane, the bus, the Uber, take it with you, and then we have the Embrace Air Deluxe. Make your own custom seat. If sitting bothers you, I highly recommend trying the Embrace products because it can make a huge difference. And I still have this nice chair, which I mentioned earlier, the Titan Evo Secret Lab chair, which I do recommend. It's awesome, adjustable handles, everything's magnetic and smooth, but you may not have the money to spend on it. So you can check that chair out at backfitpro.com, the Titan Evo Secret Lab chair. I love it. Um, and anyway, that's all we have. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Once again, the code is YT1306 for YouTube. Scratch and Knit Books in on the 31st. Free 1020 live book with a $50 purchase. And I'll see you next week where we're talking more strength training, injury resilience, back pain, performance enhancement. Have a great weekend.